And I wanted to talk about the wide receivers. And yes, I want to talk about the GOAT, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. We have a lot of wide receivers on this team, and I just want to break down who I think is going to make our depth chart come the start of the season. Let's get into it.
Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
Fly was flying on the team. Touchdown. Time to get Jalen this ring. You don't really want to start a thing. This a bird gang nation, baby. It's a Philly thing. Hater, and you looking like you type trash. I'm just here calling on Philly the podcast. And we can call a man dog or watch Miles score off the handoff. Rest of the division, your man saw Jackson like Sean, hunting like Randall. Season here, really time to do them in. Your boy Philly Fresco. Thanks for tuning in.
What's going on, you guys? It's Brandon here. So I know I was joking about J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. I do think there might actually be a spot on this team for him. But to start it off, we do have a good amount of wide receivers on this team. And I was looking at the Eagles and the Colts the past 2 years, and the Eagles have only held 5 wide receivers, whereas the Colts held 6 wide receivers the last couple years. So I'm going to go ahead and guess that we'll hold 6 wide receivers. Why not? I mean, I know that Nick Sirianni is big on wide receivers. I feel like that's part of the reason why we have him here. So let's go ahead and pretend like we're going to go ahead and have a 6-man wide receiver depth chart. So the first couple are super easy. Obviously, Devontae Smith's making this depth chart. He's going to be our number 1 guy. We traded up for him. We traded with the Cowboys of all teams in order to get him. He's going to be our number 1. Plus, he's the Heisman winner. Finally, Howie went ahead and made a decision that made sense and could only help our team out. And then we got Jalen Reagor. Jalen, he had a tough year last year, and unfairly too, to be honest. I mean, you got a kid that was drafted before Justin Jefferson, who others and analysts and everything had Jalen Reagor maybe toward the end of the first and second round. So yes, it was kind of a reach, and so he had a lot of unfair expectations considering how well Justin Jefferson did. Now, the way that our offense was last year and how Carson Wentz was going down, Doug Peterson's play calls were questionable at best. There was just a lot going on. So I feel like even if we had a guy like Justin Jefferson on the team, it just probably wouldn't have worked out. We would be talking about, how did Jalen Reagor get on the Vikings and he's killing it over there? So last year, let's just put it behind us and look at the future. I think Jalen Reagor, with the addition of Devontae Smith, can be something. I think now that he doesn't need to be that number 1. Last year, he needed to be that number 1 and needed to be worth the first-round pick. I think with an addition of a good player, he's going to start to look like that, and hopefully he can stay healthy enough to play throughout the season and really show us who he is. And then next spot, I'm thinking I'm going to go ahead and give it the 3 and 4 spot to Travis Fulgham and Greg Ward. Now, the reason why I put them together is because they're both going to be 26 years old when the start of the season happens. Now, that's not that old, but in that wide receiver room, those two are the oldest ones in the wide receiver room. So I think that Travis Fulgham, after listening to Moorhead talk, and he was saying that he just finally, he was playing well. Everyone was, obviously, we all thought he was the next coming because we were so desperate for someone to really kill it last year. But defenses figured him out, and he had to learn that, all right, what can I do to adjust and all this kind of stuff. So, yes, there was a lot of learning there, but Aaron Moorhead really thinks that he's going to go ahead and have a decent season. And then Greg Ward, I feel like even though at first I thought he was around like 27, 28 years old, but he's still young, and he's become a leader and that veteran presence in our wide receiver room. And his hands are really reliable. Now, do I want to see him returning punts, returning kicks? No. I think we saw enough of that experiment. We don't need that again. It was just a debacle, in my opinion. Just wasn't working out. But when he was asked, came big on third downs. He was a big target for Carson Wentz. I mean, the guy showed out when needed, and then he ended up getting one of the biggest touchdowns a couple years ago against Josh Norman. So I have faith in Greg Ward. I think he's going to make this roster. I think those are your top 4. Those are the guys that are going to see the field the most. Now, that 5th spot, I think, is a toss-up between Quez Watkins and John Hightower. The reason why they came in together John Hightower got more of the snaps last year than Quez Watkins. John Hightower played a lot more. He had big plays, but he also had big drops. Big drops that I think it was against the Ravens, where it was the first play or first couple plays, and it was a deep bomb, and he had him, and he just dropped the ball, just laid it in the breadbasket and just dropped it. So those are things I know he needs to work on, and maybe it was just rookie nerves and all that, but he had his chance and he was out on the field more. So I'm assuming there's something to that, right? There's a reason why he was on the field more. We saw Quez, we saw his breakaway speed. He was able to catch that wide receiver screen, do a little quick spin move, and next thing you know, he was off to the races and got a touchdown. That was dope to see, but we didn't really get to see him play wide receiver last year, at least in the NFL. You can go back and go to YouTube and look at his college highlights all you want. But maybe we can see him more in special teams this year. Maybe returning punts, returning kicks. I'm sure he's a lot faster than Greg Ward or even Boston Scott to that matter. So I want to see him more involved in special teams. And maybe if he is better than John Hightower, he takes that spot. But for today, I'm going to go ahead and say John Hightower takes that 5th spot. Now number 6. And this is when I'm going to bring up J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. So I honestly think it's J.J.'s position to lose. I mean, he has a chance to really say, listen, I've been developing over these last couple years. Me and Carson didn't have the best of connections. Maybe it was Doug Pearson's play calling or scheme or what I don't know what it was. But if you go and just YouTube it, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, there's actually a video that shows all his targets, not just highlights. So you were able to see that there were times that maybe he could have made a play on the ball, but the ball was thrown behind him. There was a lot going on with Carson. I'm not going to go ahead and say that Carson was the only reason why JJ wasn't performing well, because he did have some big drops, but he also has some nice catches that show that he does have potential to play in this league. But we do have a new guy that we drafted in Jamon Osmond that he looks like he could be a baller too. So, I mean, Jamon has the opportunity to even be on the practice squad, so that's why I say it's JJ's position to lose. He has the chance to be that guy that's been in the league for a couple of years, and maybe he can make that jump. Maybe he has a better connection with Jalen Hurts than he did with Carson Wentz. But if he doesn't perform well in this summertime, then I don't see him. I see him losing that spot to maybe a Jamon or maybe a Quez Watkins instead. But I believe, I don't know why, I just want to see the one guy that everyone makes fun of. I feel bad that whoever took that picture of him and his mom holding the umbrella in the middle of the summertime, like the sun was out, it wasn't even raining, no clouds. So I feel bad that picture was taken as used against him, but I want to see him perform well. I mean, he was a 2nd round pick. He's a dude that you just don't want to see those kind of guys go to waste. You want to see them do well, and he's an Eagle at the end of the day. So I want to see him do well, and I'm going to go ahead and say he takes that 6th spot. So for me, I think when this season starts and we have our wide receiver depth chart, I think it's going to be Devontae Smith, Jalen Reagor, Travis Fulgham, Greg Ward, John Hightower, and J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. Now, if you guys like this kind of content, please please subscribe. Go ahead, leave me your depth chart in the comments. Are you taking J.J. Arcega-Whiteside on your depth chart, or are you just saying, nah, this dude's off the team, he's being cut before summer ends? Let me know. Until next time, peace.
Everywhere, this is for you.
Fly was flying on the team. Touchdown. Time to get Jalen this ring. You don't really want to start a thing. This a bird gang nation, baby. It's a Philly thing. Hater, and you looking like you type trash. I'm just here calling on Philly the podcast. And we can call a man dog or watch Miles score off the handoff. Rest of the division, your man soft. Jackson like Sean, hunting like Randall. Season head, early time to do him in. Your boy Philly Fresco. Thanks for tuning in.